Jennifer, I think we've got you on the phone, Jen. What do we know about this new reporting about the financial possible motive? Do you know any more specifics on it, Jennifer?
Hi, Brian. How are you doing?
Good.
Specifically, this is information received from the former girlfriend, and it really discusses the fact that the Senas did possibly have money, and this knowledge would have been known to the individual who took her. So that just gave more information regarding that it possibly could have been really motivated by money. Of course, I think what gives us all pause is this delay, the delay of 48 hours before any note was given. And that's what's concerning to everyone.
Yeah, and from what I understand, it was her late grandfather who had received some kind of public settlement from the town there. I think there was a sledding accident, actually, and he received quite a bit of money as a settlement that was public knowledge that people knew about and heard about in the town. So it would make sense that perhaps Craig Ross knew about it. But also new today, Jennifer, we're learning that they are also now looking into other cases, older cases, specifically 2 cases involving women that went missing and were murdered. What do we know about that, Jennifer?
Well, Brian, it makes all the sense in the world. Law enforcement has a duty to look at any and all cases that would have similar modus operandi, specifically other kidnappings, and in these cases, they both resulted in murder, but they were in the area similar to where he was known to be. And so it makes all the sense that they have to look into these cases and see if there is any nexus.
Yeah, Mark, they do seem like different cases, though. I mean, there's not a lot of similarities to what happened here.
Well, but Jen's right in the sense that they would be remiss if they didn't investigate this. I could give you a couple of examples. I remember when I was representing then Congressman Condit, I was just kind of gobsmacked or dumbstruck by the fact that they did not investigate similar kinds of incidents that had taken place in the disappearance of Chandra Levy. And as it turned out, they ended up prosecuting somebody who they actually had in custody at the time. There's another case here in California, right, literally 5 blocks north of where I'm sitting right now, where a second or a third model has been murdered in the downtown LA high-rise. And the police are poo-pooing the idea that they're related, but I know for a fact that they're investigating whether in fact they are, because anytime you've got a series of incidents like this, the police, that's the first thing that the police or law enforcement do, is try and make sure, rule out that there isn't any kind of a connection.
Yeah, I want to talk to you more about that model case later, because I'm actually obsessed with that case. We had the families of the models on earlier this week. I've gotten to know them, and they're not getting.
You talked about? They're not getting answers.
They're not getting info. There's something strange there.
Yeah.
Well,
I was going to say, and we'll deal with that later.
We'll deal with that later, but I'm glad you brought it up, because I'm really into that case. But Jennifer, I just want to end with you. What do you make of the situation with the ransom note? With this alleged kidnapper? I mean, the fact that he went and put the note in their mailbox while the police were out there keeping an eye on the house after she was kidnapped. I mean, thankfully he did, because it sounds like that's how it all unfolded, where they were able to figure out who he was. But I mean, really, not a smart guy, it doesn't seem like.
Well, and if you look at the terms of the note that was described by the state police, it was very rudimentary, really just a few words, at least according to him. And that doesn't make any sense. First of all, it doesn't make any sense that it's 48 hours later. It doesn't make any sense that the terms weren't outlined. In other words, what do we need to do? When do we need to do it? Where is she? Can we have some proof of life? Nothing. At least, from what we know. So that gives us pause. Was this really a ransom? Was it really about money? And again, for somebody to go from the worst thing they had done on record was a DUI, 0 to 100, they're going to be looking at other violent crimes that were committed in the meantime.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com. newsnationnow.com, and you can find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of NewsNation's fact-driven coverage.